friends, and welcome back for another exciting episode of Coffee and Wrestling, a wrestling podcast where we cover all of the interesting and controversial things in wrestling. And this week we are discussing WWE and AEW.
And we've got the WWE Draft going on right now. We have AEW building up to Double or Nothing, All In and All Out.
Yeah.
All within, we've got like 2 months. That's a whole thing to talk about to begin with. And we've got, like I said, we got the WWE Draft that is just mixing everything up in WWE right now. Kind of makes Monday night kind of...
I'm actually kind of looking forward to it a little bit.
Yeah, for once.
It's been a while.
This SmackDown was by far the best SmackDown they've had.
It was great. It was entertaining. The draft was a little bit weird because I typically like when we bring out some presenters to do the entire thing or maybe explain a little bit more as to who picked what. So basically it started off with Triple H.
And why?
Yeah, it was kind of weird. It started off with Triple H and he was going over the first round picks and
the rules and all that other
stuff.
Which he still didn't explain that each brand was going to have 2 picks per round.
Yes, they did not explain a whole lot, but they also didn't explain who was picking what because basically Triple H would say SmackDown picks this person, Raw picks this. So there was no backstage
GM.
Deliberation or GM or anything like that.
So my theory is Adam Pearce is just frantically sitting in an office by himself with one microphone on the left and one microphone on the right, and one blue, one red, and he's just like pulling names like, this person's going to Raw, this person's going to SmackDown. I just think Adam Pearce finally getting his chance to be like, okay, I can get rid of A, B, and C problem child and split this group up so that I don't have to deal with this shit anymore. But I mean, after
it's
the
like
draft,
a teacher with his children. You know?
But after the draft, I don't know if that could be true because they had some teams go in full chunks and none of them got split up, and it's very interesting.
What was really interesting was Triple H made it really seem to be like we're shaking it up. Like any tag team could be, split, anything like that. Any faction could be split. And as far as SmackDown this week, nothing happened. But before we get into all of the WWE Draft, let's quickly go over all things AEW. I can't say enough good things about everything AEW lately. Dynamite has been so entertaining, so consistently good. Not that Rampage isn't, but Dynamite has just been the thing that me personally, I always look forward to. And within the next couple of weeks, they're only adding to the excitement for me because we have this fantastic rivalry between the Blackpool Combat Club and the Elite. I'm personally loving the absolute shit out of this. It's kind of like reminiscent towards like an Attitude Era kind of thing where you have a very dominant heel faction full of some of the best wrestlers in the world.
That's been running amok in this company. Like, I don't mean that in a bad way.
Yeah. They went from dominating and being, individual wrestlers that did so well and then coming into this faction and they're just literally running everybody over. I love it.
They attack people in the back and, even it was a couple weeks ago they ended up attacking Stu Grayson. They're like, it's just business, and they just beat the shit out of him backstage.
Evil Uno went to the hospital.
Yep.
Don Callis, oh my God, that was awful.
I think that was a great way. Like this whole thing kind of stems from that. They had Hangman and all that, and Don Callis got caught in the crossfire, and nobody wants to see anybody get hurt. Don't get me wrong. It was very unfortunate. Don Callis split his head open. Bad. Like, you thought Finn Balor's head was split open. This is, a man that's probably on blood thinners that doesn't need to be split in his head like this. Not quite as young as Finn Balor is. But he, in a freak accident, fell in a segment.
Hit some equipment.
And I mean, from forehead to eyebrow, split his dome open, and they've been kind of playing into that a little bit. Last week, they had Kenny Omega cut a promo on John Moxley in the BCC over, you hurt my family, you put my friend my mentor in the hospital, and basically, I'm going to make you pay. So this week rolls around, and it wasn't even the Elite. It was just Kenny Omega. He's all by himself, which very rarely happens nowadays. Goes in the ring, calls out John Moxley. They come out and start attacking, and just this whole thing with the screwdriver and now we've got Takeshita added into this as he's
coming out and helping Kenny thanks to Don Callis again.
Don with
coming full circle.
Him at the airport and
I love that.
I mean, it couldn't be.
Maybe dropping cinnamon buns off at his house, buns off his house.
But they've added Takeshita is this like. Well, he's just up and coming star.
Yeah.
He has history with Kenny Omega in DDT Pro.
Yes,
he has history
and the Young
with
Bucks.
The Young Bucks and just the Elite in general. but he also has the potential. Like he's young, he's smart, he's athletic.
And from
he's
the beginning
built
of the
like a tank.
year, we were basically told that this is going to be a year that we're building up Takeshita, and I think it's great. And they're doing a really great job of building him up. I mean, a few months ago we went to ROH, and it's so funny. He seemed like such a humble guy. Like he came out for ROH, and this was the first two tapings of the Tony Khan regime of ROH, and he came out, and we didn't know. Like there were no matches announced.
Like 80, 90 people there deep. Like, honest to God,
and he walked out, and everybody lost their shit, and he was like,
he broke
so
for a split
humbly
second,
like happy that people were excited to see him, and it's just crazy because he's so good, but he hasn't like got a big head about it. So I love him. I love him.
And
he's
great. That's something that I think Japanese wrestlers that grow into that wrestling that started NJPW, DDT Pro, Noah, Stardom, all those AAJP. I don't even know if they're still around anymore. But all of these wrestling promotions, like they really drill that into you out there as a sport. It's it's more than an entertainment value. Like it's something to be honorable about.
Well, and you come out with like plain clothes and you don't have any gear, and you like slowly get the
NJPW is famous for having that young lion where you start off in black trunks and black shoes, and as you progress, as you get more experienced, as you get more respect in your particular dojo or your particular training camp, you get knee pads, you get elbow pads, you get a nickname, you get
it's like a respect thing. You have to earn it, and I think that's maybe why they come off so humble, is they had to earn their spot.
They really do. You have to go in and do the work. These guys aren't just wrestling matches and then going home and partying. They're staying after and cleaning, and they're
breaking down the ring,
pads, and they're breaking down the ring, and they're sweeping up people's trash that they leave behind, and it gives them a better respect for the art.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because you see a lot of American wrestlers that come up, and it's an art to them. It's this, it's that. But then you see some of these guys that it is an art to them, but then when they get done with that art, they're pieces of shit outside of it. Mm-hmm. Whereas I believe in his culture where he grew up, it was driven more of, you don't be a piece of shit, even though this is it's an entertainment show. Like you respect it, like you said. You respect the profession as an art at all times.
Exactly, you earn that right. One thing that was really cool and humbling is somebody as big as like Mike Bailey, when WrestleMania weekend happened and all those different promotions did all the pay-per-views and shows, and Mike Bailey did like 8 matches that week. I think it was more like 15.
It
probably was, but I do remember hearing a story about him that after one of the pay-per-views he stayed and broke down the ring.
Yep.
Like, that's really cool that people even like that aren't too big to stay and help the show close up and make sure everything's good. You'd think that they would hop in the back, take their shower, and walk out and go to the next thing, but they're still humble enough to be like that. So it's really cool. So I love Takeshita and the Elite. I think this is great. And it's set up for a steel cage match, which is going to be May 10th
between
on
Jon
Dynamite.
Moxley and
by God, Kenny Omega.
I mean, we're going to see the return of the rivalry that came to a head at Revolution 2021 with the barbed wire exploding death match that didn't quite end the way that they were hoping. But man, that was
I'm not gonna lie, good though.
That was one of those matches. 95% of that match, we were all like sitting on the edge of our seat, like, what are they going to do? What are they going to do? And I'm glad to see one of the most violent feuds that has happened in AEW get rekindled, and only be the beginning of something that's probably going to be lead into. If they don't do something with the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, CM Punk, and FTR at All In, I have a feeling that this rivalry that we're looking at between BCC and the Elite is gonna be at All In, like the crescendo.
Absolutely, absolutely. I don't know what that's gonna mean, but for all of these guys, it can't just be like a normal fight. You know what I mean? It's got to be some crazy stipulation. That's how Kenny and John are.
And who else better than the Young Bucks, to be honest with you, in a gimmick match? I mean, they've had countless matches between ladder matches, table matches, that
steel cage
with the
Penta Bros,
with the Lucha Bros. I mean, that was by far one of.
I think that's my favorite AEW match
back then. I mean, these guys deliver every single time they get put in the spotlight.
Do. Like them or hate them, they know how to perform.
Yep.
They know how to make things entertaining.
If you hate flippy floppy wrestling, that's great, but you cannot deny
the
amount of effort these guys put into every single one of their
They
matches.
love the sport, and it's just like we said. They love the sport. Yes, they own the company, but they love the sport.
These are a pair of brothers that grew up loving the art, loving these styles.
It's like the Hardy Boys. They grew up doing this stuff in, their backyard.
Yeah, and that's and it shows into this. And it's, I mean, for anybody that shits on the Young Bucks for doing anything that they've done, I don't get it.
It's a shame. And speaking of the Hardy Boys, what a time to be alive. Jeff Hardy is back. He said he has retired from, being a shithead.
Fucking up.
I wish him nothing but the best. Coffee and Wrestling's here to support you, Jeff. I hope you have a great last run in AEW.
Yeah, but he said that this is going to be the Hardy Boys' final tag run. Now, does that mean there might be a singles in between? Who knows? But I mean, that's a pretty big statement.
It is.
The Hardy Boys no longer going to be a tag team, or not that they're not going to be a tag team, but this will be their.
What a staple!
Oh my
what a
God.
Staple of my childhood.
Revolutionize the tag division.
Oh, absolutely.
Worldwide.
And what a fun concept. We're talking about BCC and the Elite. I am absolutely loving the Firm and the Hardy Boys and Isaiah.
Now
Private Party. I'm so into this, and it might be the underdog a little bit, but they went so far into dark. Like putting a lot of dark matches in the storyline and in Twitter and the behind the scenes. And
you made me put my foot in my mouth over this one because I have been a proponent of one of those people that just does not believe AEW has had good storytelling, long-term storytelling. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if this was planned or if this just fell to the wayside and it didn't quite get the steam that it needed to until recently. But they've been building this storyline up through Dark, through Elevation, Rampage, Dynamite.
Like I said, on social media, too. They're putting in the work on there, too.
They've had Hook come in and spice it up.
Yep.
They have had Ethan Page be a good guy, then a bad guy, and then a good guy, and now back to a bad guy.
Bless Stokely Hathaway for making it so entertaining every week. I laugh my ass off so hard at that guy. I can't.
And the Firm themselves, for being a faction that was put together to explain why MJF made it back into the limelight of the title picture.
Right.
From that to being almost a non-existent faction due to CM Punk's actions at All Out.
Yeah, a lot of things happened to just try to really beat down the Firm.
It really derailed them pretty bad, but I'm glad to see that they're back kind of in the fold. All four of the guys are tremendously talented.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even Stokely Hathaway as being just a manager is... Every time he picks up the mic or he's on a promo, I love it.
That's entertaining.
I'm laughing.
What was he saying? Something about Applebee's?
Isaiah Cassidy had been missing for a couple days, a week, and Matt Hardy finally got, because you know how wrestlers communicate. They don't call each other.
No,
they don't. They don't have an HR department that they can get a hold of somebody.
You wait till the next live show.
You wait till the next live show, and then you wait until you have an interview, and you pull up the TV feed and talk to him through a TV feed like it's a fucking Skype video.
Of course.
But Stokely said that they found Isaiah Cassidy just not paying attention at the local Applebee's and jumped him. Said something to the effect of, it's embarrassing to get your ass whooped in front of a bunch of appetizers listening to Billy Joel on the overhead radio. It was something like that. And basically said, like, you either tell us what the stipulation is or when a match is, or we're,
They had Isaiah up on like some
a
rafters.
5-foot laughter. It was.
They didn't even show the ground.
I've been on those things. We had those at my job. You can set them to like 6 feet high. They're not that high.
Yeah,
like, we're gonna let them down.
But Cass is 7 foot tall.
Okay, so we're 13 feet high.
Can't beat that.
By the way, watched a clip the other day of Enzo and Cass. I don't know why once WWE realized that Enzo was clear of those charges, they didn't try to bring him back. Like, my fucking God.
I guess they just didn't want to backpedal.
Goddamn gimmick.
But they gave up on that tag team long before those
Oh, you mean when they had
bonus charges.
Enzo hanging in a cage in a ladder match? And Big Cass is like, whoever won got to, like, I don't know, keep Enzo as a pet or something.
I don't even know.
Poor, but
it was piss poor planning. It was bad storytelling, which is unfortunate because they probably could have come up with a storyline on their own. They didn't need a storyline.
They didn't need one. They just need to give the bike to the Skywalker.
Yeah.
What did they? Oh my God! What did they used to call him? I can't remember. He used to something Skywalker. It was the best. He came up with the best names for himself.
He did. The promo we watched was actually Enzo out in the ring, and for some reason he didn't even have a microphone, but he was like mouthing everything because he's got the microphone tattoo
and the
on his
entire
hand.
crowd.
The crowd filled it all in.
It was so good, so good. Bring back Enzo and Big Cass.
Yeah.
AEW, sign Enzo for like just a minute.
I know. I don't know why they don't do anything with him, which is kind of weird. I know Enzo's had a little bit of a weird independent career since, but
well
I like to see that Cass is involved. Well, I'm sorry,
doing
Big
well
Bill
in the MLW now.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
That's great. I like to see what they're doing with the firm. I like everybody in it. Lee Moriarty especially. I'm just a huge Lee fan. Although Egon is my dude too, Ethan Page.
Yeah, we started liking him through his YouTube first.
Yeah, exactly.
Doing toy hunts and his vlogs, and which we were never really wanted to do vlogs, but for some reason he's
just an entertaining guy. He's got an entertaining personality, but this is all coming to a head. As we said before, Ethan was really mad, and that's why I guess they kidnapped Isaiah, because they wanted to know when the match and what the was going to be and what the stipulations were for the match. Again, this is how you do things in wrestling world. You just kidnap people until you get an answer. So this is going to be happening this week coming up on Rampage at the Hardy compound.
Yes.
Oh, Stokely also said that he was going to go in Matt Hardy's house and turn all the lights on and rack up his power bill.
What? How can you not love this guy? How do they not just keep a mic in his hand at all times? I don't understand it. I love it. Stokely is just, he's magic on the microphone. I don't know. I wish they would have kept him with MJF. They had that little stint for a while, but man, they would have been great back and forth.
Yep.
So good.
I think they had to make a lot of interesting decisions when everything happened with CM Punk, and I think it's all worked out, honestly, for the best. I mean, I really hate to say it, but ever since the Brawl Out, I think the show's more entertaining because they've had the opportunity to look back and remember, Private Party, the Acclaimed, MJF, Sammy Guevara. These are all people that they need to just stick with and keep writing storylines with, and obviously it's working.
I totally agree. Keeping up with, you had mentioned something about writing storylines with all these performers. We also have a workhorse of AEW going on up against a newcomer in AEW. We had Jade take on Taya Valkyrie this week for the TBS title. I almost said the TNT title.
The TBS Championship. This has been fun, setting this up.
This has been one of, if not the most entertaining rivalry that Jade has had.
Agreed.
With anybody in AEW.
They vibe really well. Jade's become so confident in her character, working really well with Bryan Danielson.
Right. I think part of it has been because they've sold Jade as this massive, powerful woman, and I've said this all the time. She's not like a massive human being. She just looks larger than most of the females that's on the roster.
Really long legs.
She looks like she's huge when she stands next to a normal sized woman. For some reason, she doesn't look that big because she's only 5'10". She's my height. Yeah. Which, when you look at her on screen, the way they talk to her and the way they sell her, it makes her look massive.
Well, it's good. They should,
this Amazonian style woman. Yeah. And it goes great with Taya Valkyrie because she's a thick woman. Let's not beat around the bush here. She looks great, but she's got some density to her. Yeah. And it goes real well with these two because you have your 55-0, who's undefeated, sold like a shit brick house. And then you've got Taya Valkyrie, who was just, without even talking about her, you can just look at her and be like, oh, she'll fucking tear some shit apart.
But if you know anything about Taya Valkyrie, she has just run through every promotion that she can do, you know? Any country that she can be a part of something. She has been. She's racked up belts everywhere. So this not only is what I think is one of my favorite rivalries, but it's fun and it makes a lot of sense, and it's a good thing for Taya because
it's been a great challenge for her too.
It's been a great challenge for both of them. Yeah. They did end up finally having their match, and it was interesting because Mark and I kept looking at each other and we're like, everything they're doing is feeling like this is going to be it. Jade was 55-0. They went really out of their way to have Justin Roberts say she's undefeated, right? And it was just
the most decorated champion in AEW.
It was it feels like she might actually drop this. But I don't know what happened to the crowd. I think they thought maybe this wasn't going to be interesting and took a nap because Jade Cargill pulled off a Canadian destroyer.
Oh my God, crickets. It was so good. So good.
Crickets.
But my one thing, though, is I don't remember, and there was a stipulation with this match, is that Taya could not use
the
Jaded or the Road to Valhalla.
Right.
And I don't remember that being a thing.
Yes, that was part of the thing with Mark.
But I don't understand why she would agree to that.
I think it was one of those, if you want to get your hands on me and the belt,
right,
you have to agree to the stipulation.
It just felt like once I heard that stipulation, it was like, oh, there's no fucking way she's going to win now.
Well, Jade or Taya? I thought the opposite. I was like, well, I think maybe that they're setting that up so that Jade doesn't lose to the Jaded.
Right.
You know,
so,
how embarrassing would that be? Yeah, you don't get beat by your own move. But then when Jade did the surprise roll-up, the most electrifying move in all of sports entertainment, and got the win.
I agreed with the result because this is obviously setting up for something at Double or Nothing.
Yeah, clearly.
A bigger match, a more worthy match. I agree with the result. I completely disagree with the pathway to get there. I thought that the roll-up made Taya look weaker than it needed to because it was a weak roll-up. It wasn't a strong, like, scoop, roll-up, grab the ropes, do some heel shit. It was just a simple scoop. It looked like when Owen Hart had to roll up Stone Cold after he broke his neck.
Yeah.
Like, just reach up, like,
weak.
tapped him, like, come on, let's fucking go. Let's
right.
finish this. It was just, and it might have just been the situation and the one single move, but
sure.
it made the ending feel weaker than it could have been.
It's really funny you say that because I have to 100% disagree with you.
You just don't like me today. That's what it is. She was arguing with me before we started this, and now she's going to argue every one of my points tonight. This is where the podcast goes off the rails. We're turning this into a marriage counseling podcast.
No, we are not. I actually really enjoyed this, and the reason
I didn't say I didn't enjoy it.
No, I think the ending was perfect. I think the ending was exactly what needed to happen. Mm-hmm. Some bullshittery. And
you're right.
Here's why. Because it pissed you off.
Yep. It got me ready for another match.
It was too simple. Yeah, you wanted a rematch immediately. Everybody knew that wasn't going to be the end of it. After all all the talk that happened, a surprise roll-up was not going to be the end of this. And that's why they did it.
Yeah,
they took excuse me. They took a classic Vincent McMahon moment, and they did everything they could to make you think that the other person was going to win.
You just Vicky Guerrero'd me.
No, Vicky would have been a lot worse.
Oh, I know.
They took a Vince moment, and they made everybody think this is going to happen, and then they gave you the worst possible result at the end, and everybody just goes, oh, I thought Cody Rhodes was going to win the belt. You know, like one of those moments where the air is just sucked out of the room. So that when Taya does win this belt or somebody else does win this belt, it's just going to feel so much better. We're going to go, wow, we went through all of these horrible things with Jade and Mark, and then it's just going to feel really good. You know, when Sky Blue comes in and gets the belt or something like that.
Oh, no, it's going to be Taya's going to win.
Okay.
She's going to hold the belt up, and then we're going to see the return of Chris Statlander.
God.
I'm still waiting. Where's my girl? I
was hoping for Chris Statlander and Jamie Hayter.
I could see that.
I'm waiting.
I could see that
because it's like they're holding off on a story with Jamie Hayter right now. They've got them so involved with the Outcasts
and all that,
and that seems like that's gonna just tie into Double or Nothing, or maybe even further into All In. But with Saraya being from England, I guess that would make a lot of sense.
Right. Right. Well, Jamie might not be involved in a storyline, but her best friend, Britt Baker, certainly is starting to.
And I thought you were talking about me.
Yes, you. Yes.
I am not involved in a storyline currently.
Thank God. Oh, my God. That'd make our life so much more dramatic. Actually, I'd be welcome. Why don't you get into a rivalry with Jamie Hayter?
Oh, man. I don't...
I know. She hits hard.
No,
good. Britt Baker and her wonderful boyfriend, I always want to call her husband, have been intertwined in the JAS starting to kind of poke their nose in their business, and Adam Cole poking back. And we saw the debut of somebody today that might just even the odds a little bit for Adam Cole. Seeing how Kylie,
you always say Kylie O'Reilly.
Kyle O'Reilly is out, and
Bobby Fish is obviously gone.
He's with Impact, so I don't think we're going to be seeing him anytime soon, and I don't think he left on good terms with AEW.
I don't think so either.
But we saw the debut of quite possibly the week's internet most best kept secret in wrestling.
Yeah.
Roderick Strong.
This one really slipped out under the dirt sheets and everything. Because usually when something's kind of coming like that, you can see it from a mile away. And there were talks about it months ago.
Or at least there's one person that might be like, oh, I heard, so-and-so got released from their contract.
Right. But there was nothing about Roderick Strong being released from WWE.
Supposedly, the biggest rumor that they had heard prior to this, obviously, was that he was still under contract with WWE, and the rumor was saying that he was more than likely going to start doing coaching for WWE, not being an on-screen personality anymore and just doing more of the background stuff, which he's getting to that age in his career that he needs to start considering something like that, and especially with WWE.
I mean, God, he's 39 years old. He's not that old.
No, I know, but when you've been doing it for 10, 15, 20 years, your body, it deteriorates faster. So at 40 years old, if you were to get a nice, solid, cushy training job to where you're only taking a third of the bumps all week, and it's because you're training other individuals, that's a huge thing, because then you can just get the same pay, do the same thing you do, train the next generation of wrestlers.
Cushy.
Yeah, nice and cushy, but I apparently decided that that wasn't for him and got a hold of Tony Khan, or Tony Khan got a hold of him. Somebody figured out his contract was over, and son of a bitch, if we didn't see Wednesday with the graphic for He's All Elite.
Yeah, especially so quickly after Jay White. I mean, this is huge.
I mean,
huge for
Tony
AEW.
Khan doing what he always does best and just signing. You just see new people. We got Commander just signed. Bandito signed not too long ago. You got fucking Vikingos. He's been, not that he's signed, but he's been in every week for the past 3 weeks. I think this past week it was the only time he wasn't on.
Right. And now we've got Roderick Strong teaming up with Adam Cole, Bandito, and Orange Cassidy, which seems so random but so fun. And they're going to be taking on JAS this week.
We'll have that really good match between Bandito and Orange Cassidy to open up Rampage, I believe.
Yeah, for the International Championship, and it was great. And they kind of established like a friendship between the two of them. Orange Cassidy tried so hard to put glasses on Bandito, but
it was so great.
As Taz said, he doesn't have any ears, which I don't know what the hell he was talking about. His ears were sticking out of his mask.
It was such a good effort. And if you watch anything of What Culture, which I'm sure if you listen to podcasts, you're probably in tune to it, because they're probably one of the leading media areas for wrestling. But Goofy Wrestling for life.
Absolutely.
And this was definitely Goofy Wrestling at its best. You had two very talented guys doing their best efforts and just entertaining a crowd. And my God, they put on a hell of a match.
They really
Orange
did.
Cassidy, he's defended, that was his 21st defense, or was
something like that. They said that he had defended his title more than any male superstar in AEW. Obviously, Jade being the highest.
The exception to that rule.
Yeah. But absolutely incredible. He's been great. I think a lot of people don't really appreciate Orange Cassidy, so having him have this long of a championship run and as good of one and competed against the people that he has, the lineup of people that he's beaten to hold this title is incredible.
I think we're coming to the end, though, because they've been teasing every time he gets in the ring, he's a little bit more beat up. His hand hurts more. His knee hurts a little bit more. He gets up a little bit slower, which I can't blame him. It was like, even if we're at 20 defenses, I know it's over 20. That's a lot of defenses. Yeah. I mean, that's he's done it at least once a week.
And it's always like he fights somebody who's from a different country, so it's like very interesting. You know, it's an international belt. You think it would go to an international star.
And it's never been a lackluster match. Every one of the matches he's been in has been fucking bell to bell. Just action packed. And that's saying something for somebody who wrestles with his hands in his pockets.
I know, right?
And again, I swear to God, on Twitter, I tweet this every week. If you don't like Orange Cassidy as a wrestler, I don't know if there's much hope for you in the landscape of wrestling.
It's great.
You need to go
the silliest
to
gimmick,
JCW and watch motherfuckers hit each other with light tubes. I don't know what else you want. This dude not only puts on this goofy wrestling aspect, doesn't take it serious, and is an entertaining wrestler, and then performs better than any one of your favorite wrestlers. I don't know what the hell your problem is. Like, it is wrestling at its best. It's not maybe WWE level entertainment, but if you have 3 brain cells more than the average WWE wrestler fan, then you should at least enjoy at least enjoy the antics. You don't have to love the guy.
Absolutely.
But
so I think he's going to add a fun dynamic to this 8-way match that's going to happen coming up on Dynamite this week.
Also, one more note about AEW is coming up this week on Dynamite, we have MJF and Sammy Guevara will be teaming up against Darby Allin and Jack Perry, Jungle Boy. And depending on the outcome of this match, we might see a fatal 4-way at Double or Nothing for the main event for the AEW World Championship.
Which is the way I think it should go.
Right.
But of course, MJF has been teasing us and saying that that's not going to happen.
Well, that's why he set up this whole tournament thing, so it wouldn't happen. So he wouldn't have 3 men that could possibly pin not just him, but the other 2 guys and get the belt.
Absolutely.
Because that's the champion's disadvantage in a multi-man non-one-on-one
so nobody wants
match.
that.
Right. And of course, MJF wanting to have the easiest way out is trying to have at least a one-on-one. And now he's paid off Sammy Guevara to not only be guaranteed a match at Double or Nothing, but to just lay down.
Yeah.
Let MJF get the pin, but become part of history.
Ty also confronted Sammy and said, you do realize that he's not your friend, right?
Does anybody else realize that Sammy should understand that?
Right.
Like, Sammy's no fucking dumbass.
He's having a bromance,
I'll tell you what, he's got some wool pulled over his eyes. He is blind as shit to what's going on if he really does believe that all this is hunky-dory.
So I'm interested to see what's going to happen with the tag match if Sammy's going to kind of side with MJF, because it only benefits Sammy to do so.
Well, actually, I don't think it would benefit Sammy if the other two...
You think it's better to have 2 more people fight and have an opportunity to win that belt?
I thought you were speaking the other way around. No, I think that to benefit him, he would have to get the win over the other 2 because it would be a one-on-one.
Right, even though his wife is telling him not to be friends with MJF, I think he needs to side with him on this match, so it's just the 2 of them.
One last little bit to get the leg over. But see, I kind of thought that's what he was doing to begin with. He's like, I have a guaranteed shot at a title match. Well, yeah, of course I'm going to play dumb and act like a kid and be like, oh, yeah, he's the best thing ever until it's time to go. And then I'm be like, I'm not laying down. And I'm going to lay the whooping on him.
But you can't go into the main event of Double or Nothing thinking that's what was going to happen.
Right. I still feel like they have one more ace up their sleeve.
They 100% do. So I'm interested to see.
I don't think this is going to be a straightforward 2 versus 2 and
MJF
one of the others is going to win, and that's going to be the end of it. And we're like, well, that's the title match.
Nothing like that ever happens with MJF.
Either they're going to win, either Darby Allin and Jungle Boy are going to win, and it's going to be something, they're going to do something else, or MJF and Sammy are going to win, and Tony Khan's going to come out and be like, nah, we're still doing a 4-way because I'm Tony Khan.
It's got to be a 4-way.
It's going to be, there's a missing element before Double or Nothing.
Right.
And that's, in 2 weeks?
Double or Nothing's at the end of May, so it's about a month.
I'm getting all my
this weekend coming up is Backlash
and ROH tapings, which we will be attending.
Yes.
If you are going to go into the ROH tapings, look for us. I don't know how the hell.
I don't know how the hell you'd look for us.
Just really, really listen for us. We will talk. We might actually be on time this time.
But let's move right on into the WWE Draft. I cannot tell you enough how excited I am that this is finally happening. Yes. I've been talking about it for weeks. It feels like Christmas morning, and here comes Triple
Papa
H.
Saint Nick.
Yeah, Papa Saint Nick to tell us what's going to happen, what we get to see with the future of WWE, at least for now.
And he said that this is going to change the entire landscape of WWE. Nobody is off limits, as we've stated before, but we're going to go round for round. There's only 4 rounds, which I thought was very surprising.
Yes. Actually, there is a bonus round here at the end, which happens after the show.
That wasn't on air. It was...
No, but we'll talk about that,
we've heard about and that we didn't know about. But round 1, and both SmackDown and Raw had 2 picks. SmackDown picked first,
yes.
So it's going to go SmackDown, Raw, SmackDown, Raw.
And Triple H did name all of the first round, mind you.
Yes. Round 1, first pick, Roman and Solo, as well as Paul Heyman.
Yes.
And
the obvious choice here.
The Bloodline. They didn't...
Yes.
So that is, I believe that is the official going forward, that those 3 are the Bloodline.
Yes.
No Usos to be found so far.
But they are staying with SmackDown, which I think is the absolute right decision there.
Raw ends up picking Cody Rhodes, which that's interesting.
Oh, and real quick before we go too far into this, Triple H also said because Roman is going to SmackDown, whoever wins the heavyweight championship is going to Raw. So they will be brand exclusive.
Right. Bianca Belair will be going to SmackDown, as well as Becky Lynch will be going to Raw. Now, Bianca Belair is a little bit interesting And I think that's
Very.
other than obviously Cody Rhodes going to Raw and now not being in the title picture for the world title.
Yeah.
They have the heavyweight championship, but it's not the world title. Like
it's not the same. And he said it was his dream to win that.
Right.
So interesting that's how they're going to end it, is say, well, Roman has this belt. We're going to create a new belt, and Cody has the opportunity at that belt, but he can't face Roman anymore.
A lot of people are speculating that Cody Rhodes could still win the Money in the Bank contract.
Sure.
And cash that in on Roman. I think
possible.
I think it's kind of weak, personally.
That's too on the nose.
That is a theory.
It's too on the nose.
But the other talking point here, we now have the Raw Women's Champion will be now switching brand.
Yes, and she was originally the SmackDown Women's Champion. And
now going to SmackDown, and she had already posted a video of her responding about going to SmackDown. Basically said, now that I'm your Raw Women's Champion, or I'm sorry, your SmackDown Women's Champion, I'm so glad to yada about whatever.
Yeah. So what does this mean for Rhea?
What's that mean? Yeah. And spoiler alert: Rhea doesn't get drafted this round.
No.
This
and
on SmackDown.
She also comes out later on SmackDown, the same exact episode with the SmackDown belt.
So Monday's going to be very interesting, even just in regards to this.
Yeah.
Where's Rhea going to end up? Is she going to go to Raw? Is she going to be in the same show as all of Judgment Day? And are we going to see them as one faction or split up?
But what if she goes to SmackDown? What does that happen for the belt?
That I don't know.
A lot of weird questions, and they didn't answer them. So
they didn't even reference them too. They didn't. Never even brought it up that they. You know. So, yeah, round one already throwing people to the wind in different factions or different areas. Still haven't, like I said, we haven't seen any factions break up yet. Cody Rhodes is no longer in the Roman Reigns landscape.
We don't know where the Usos are going.
Right. And I mean, Becky Lynch, I think it's no surprise that she stays with Raw.
Sure.
You gotta have some star power there, and I think she's going to be a real good one to keep on Raw separate of Bianca Belair. Even though I'd love to see them go head to head again, but we did that last year.
Yeah, two huge women, smart to separate them. I don't think that's a bad move at all, which makes you think that, of course, Seth is going to be on that show as well.
Of course, it would only make sense. Kayfabe broken. They're obviously a married couple, and to have them on two separate shows could be very problematic for them.
I think actually WWE changed the contracts a few years ago that if you have a spouse within the company, you can stay on the same show. Makes sense.
It only makes sense. Yeah.
How rude would that be? You have conflicting work schedules,
Yep.
And it's a good thing that WWE does seemingly have that rule, because that worked out great for the Street Profits, who are not going to be separated, which I thought was interesting. I thought maybe
you had talked about
Angelo and Montez would be split, and I don't think it's a bad thing either way. I don't think they have enough tag teams to break up the Street Profits like that, and I think they could have said, one's going on one show, one the other. Right. They're not enemies. They're just they got drafted separate.
You can still do a singles run with one or the other. I mean, look at Otis and Chad Gable. Like, it's same dynamic. You could have them do that same thing, even though they're a tag team. You just would have to book it the right way.
Right.
You'd have to have one basically take the reins, and you have the other one as kind of the sidekick or the guy that helps out. I mean, look at Jamie Hayter and Britt Baker.
Right.
Not that they were a tag team, but they're kind of doing that exact same thing where Britt Baker's the best friend, the Shaggy to her Scooby Doo.
Yeah, exactly.
So you can still do that. But I think this was a smart idea, keeping them together, because they are, as a tag team, so over with the crowd. Every time they come out, people go off. They've got the moves together. They complement themselves very well, because one's an acrobatic and one's a dude that can knock over Braun Strowman when he's in choo-choo mode.
Yeah, right. Mind you, I forgot to announce that round 2 was presented by none other than the whole effing show, Rob Van Dam and Michael Hayes.
Michael Hayes looked like he was so confused. It looked like they both were in the same waiting room, but right before they walked out there, Michael Hayes caught a massive contact buzz off RVD.
Well, yeah, because RVD, he looked at the card, he read who he was supposed to, say he was drafting, or he was supposed to draft for what show.
And it was upside down.
No, he read them right side up. Before he came out, he read them right side up, so clearly he had them memorized. That's okay. But when he read them when he came out, they were upside down, and people gave him a lot of shit. But I
mean, he's a wrestler. He's not a fucking professor at a college. He already knew what he was doing. He's like me when I walk up to my boss and I have to say something to him. I sit there and go, okay, the drill broke because of this. And then I walk up to him and go, excuse me, Dan, the drill broke. Fuck, I fucked it up. So I get it. He's a dude that smokes a little bit more weed than he probably should, so he's got to get it in his head. So I'm sure he just had that card in his hand and was like,
he knew it.
Boom. Got to think of the shit practically.
Exactly. So they were the presenters for this. And I have to say, the second I saw Michael Hayes, I went, wow, he looks like Uncle Howdy.
Yes.
It could be. You can't deny it could be.
I mean, Uncle Howdy's been missing for a minute, so.
And there's Michael Hayes. Have you ever seen Michael Hayes and Uncle Howdy in the same room?
No, but I've never seen Michael Jordan and Uncle Howdy in the same room either, so.
Are you saying Michael Jordan's Uncle Howdy?
No, but.
He wouldn't have missed that shot if he was Michael Jordan.
That is true.
Okay, so moving on to what was Raw's first pick of the second round. They went with, and great choice, Imperium. All of Imperium,
Yes.
which means Gunther, Ludwig, Kaiser, and oh god, hold
Imperium,
on, what's the other one?
Number 3.
I know this. They're all going over, so that means the Intercontinental Championship will be on Raw.
Yep.
Again, keeping the factions together. So.
And again, what does that mean for the United States titles? That means it's exclusively to Raw? Or I'm sorry, to SmackDown?
What's that? I'm sorry.
The U.S. title.
I don't know. We haven't gotten that far.
Imperium was gone to Raw, which I still think that I think this has been a great move because Imperium is a absolutely wonderful faction.
Oh, 100% agree. The next pick was the rated R superstar Edge, who was going to SmackDown. And then the original Bro, which of course RVD had to announce, Matt Riddle,
Yes.
is going to Raw.
Oh, I never even made that connection.
No?
Not a lot of movement in this round, but at the same time, I think keeping the Street Profits and Imperium together was a really good idea. And I mean, Edge, you can hit or miss me with Edge right now. He's in his little Legends run.
I'm just hoping
he's only got like a year left before he comes over to AEW.
Come on over to AEW.
And does
Team up
another
with
Edge and
Christian.
No,
Listen, I can
Here
have
we
a
go.
dream match. Devon is not with WWE.
Uh-oh.
Bubba's with Impact. Tony Khan has a good relationship with the people in Impact.
It's not a bad one.
Hear me out. Forbidden Door, 2024.
TLC 3.
TLC 3.
I'm down.
I'm just throwing it out there.
I'm down. I mean,
Tony Khan, you can use my ideas. I just want a ticket.
Yeah, right.
Free
Like
tickets.
fly me out and like fly us out and just let us watch.
To the moon.
Maybe let me talk to your social media person. Like I'm loving their social media.
That's
Is it Ric Flair's
stepdaughter?
daughter-in-law or something like that?
Yeah.
Something like that. I don't know. I don't know.
Fantastic job.
Awesome. So round 3 of the WWE Draft. First pick for SmackDown, Bobby Lashley.
Yes. Oh, this time presenting none other than talk about legends of our childhood. John Bradshaw, JBL.
Yep.
And Teddy Long.
Which is surprising because there was only one faction that was even brought in to the draft on this round. So you would have think this would have been filled with tag teams.
Oh, with Teddy?
Yeah.
With Teddy in it? It's just like a dream come true for Teddy if he would have been able to draft all the tag teams.
There was only one, and it's a I guess quad. Anyways,
okay, so who do we got?
Bobby Lashley went first for SmackDown.
Okay.
In a surprise, Drew McIntyre got drafted to Raw.
Yeah, that was a really surprising announcement.
His contract has been rumored to be up for a little bit now.
His
Twitter has been
blacked
completely
out.
blacked out. All references of WWE has been taken out of his Twitter bio, which I know Twitter isn't life anymore, but it really kind of is in the wrestling world. So
haven't seen anything from him in a while.
I haven't heard anything from him. Nothing on TV. He just kind of vaporized out of nowhere. So
But he's drafted.
He's drafted. He's going to Raw. Whether he shows up or not, it's a whole different story.
Yeah.
SmackDown been picked the entirety of the OC, and we end up of course. And then real quick, Raw ended up picking him the Miz, which I can't understand why they wouldn't. He's
Miz
always
TV
been,
on there is a great
Miz TV
idea.
he's been a staple in Raw for years. I think it's a great choice.
Keep him there for sure.
SmackDown, I really think they won this round personally. I said that when we were tweeting at CAW Wrestling Pod. We do talk about all wrestling things on there, especially when there's live wrestling between SmackDown, Raw, Dynamite, and Rampage. You should follow us at CAW Wrestling Pod.
Pod.
But I really think that SmackDown really got the best of this round.
Oh, they definitely did, because they surprised the shit out of us when they hit the OC's music not too long afterwards, and they all came out.
And of course, we're expecting to see Mia Yim and
it's Mi Chin.
Yes, Mi Chin and the Good Brothers come out, but we also saw the return of a formerly injured AJ Styles. Now, I don't know if he's cleared to wrestle.
He didn't do anything. He sat up on the
moved out of the way.
turnbuckle. Said something weird, didn't make sense.
Got to make a comment about this. I'm so tired of watching the Viking Raiders get buried every week.
Yeah.
They came out, confronted the OC for, I don't know. And then just got absolutely stomped, which I get it. The OCers, they just kind of made their quote-unquote comeback. AJ Styles, he is obviously not 100%. He kind of told them to do their thing. You also have 2 men and a woman with Viking Raiders, so I get it. It sucks to see the Viking Raiders get called up by NXT, had such a good run in ROH.
Right.
And they just get shit on every single week. They
do.
Squashed. And they look like ass. And they look like the anime kid in our school that did the anime club, and he's running around pretending he's a Viking now. And
I
it's
don't like the
God damn it.
Valhalla. Like, they have to look over at her to, like, get permission from the gods to, like, attack.
She is their, like, instructions. Like,
do they really need her to tell them, like, go ahead and attack?
I think they leaned a little bit too hard into it.
They leaned way too hard into it.
I think if they leaned into more of a practical sense of using the Viking blood in them to, kind of like how Sheamus does his Celtic warrior.
Yeah.
And you got the Scottish.
It's not corny, though.
You got Drew McIntyre. What does he call himself? The Scottish fucking swordsman or whatever the hell he is. But it's, you're playing into the image of that.
Sure.
Now you have, I don't know. It's almost
like
too
a
much.
Disney movie or something, the Viking Raiders. Like,
yeah. Which you can have them as the Viking Raiders, but like, you don't need to have them come out with like loincloths.
Yeah.
Like, I get the gimmick, but tone it back just a little bit.
Yeah, and they wonder why it's not working.
Yeah. So but it's a shame. They just get squashed, and now they have a match with the OC next week, and I'm sure it's going to be a lot of the same of just getting the shit kicked out of them.
But what a missed opportunity. They're just going to do Gallows and Anderson versus the Viking Raiders. Why not have Michin and Sarah Logan Valhalla be a part of this too?
I don't know.
Missed opportunity.
It's
I don't know why
they're not using her as a wrestler either.
I don't know, because she is.
And all she's done is just showed up and stole a couple of gimmicks a handful of times, and then had to change it 3 times until it finally looked somewhat original.
Can't get behind it.
Shout out to Max the Impaler.
Yeah.
Look them up. They're an amazing wrestler, and they'll rip your face off if you disagree with their tendencies.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so moving on to round 4, which was really a sad round. Poor Shawn Michaels, the Heartbreak Kid.
Heartbroken.
Was heartbroken.
Fucking
and
heartbroken.
Road Dogg came out to announce round 4. So it didn't go too bad at first. We started off with Damage Control, all of Damage Control, which is Io Sky, Dakota Kai, and Bayley going to SmackDown.
As a cohesive unit, which everybody thought that they were going to get broken up.
Yeah, I really thought it was time to give Io a singles run, but we still could be doing that.
I still think they're on their way to do it.
I do.
At least kicking Bayley out.
And mind you, none of this draft goes into play until after Backlash. Just want to make that clear. Backlash is this weekend, so once Monday Night Raw hits the following week, not this week, coming up the following week, then all of this comes into play. But round 4, again, Damage Control is going to SmackDown. Shinsuke Nakamura is going to Raw. And here's where it got really rough for HBK, and really surprising because NXT doesn't normally do this. They drafted their women's tag team champions to SmackDown, which is Alba Fire and Isla Dawn. And let me see, do they have a tag team name? Nope, looks like just singles. And then also going to Raw again. Holy shit, can't believe they did this. They took their NXT Women's Champion, and drafted them to Raw, which is Indy Hartwell, who has a huge backstory with Dexter Lumis.
Yep.
Candice LeRae, which you happen to be wearing a short for.
Oh yes, I do.
And Johnny Gargano.
Yeah, it's I probably the most surprising draft of the night, and I'm sure that's why it was the last 2 of the draft.
What a win for WWE. The main roster needed a really good tag team.
Right.
Desperately, women's tag team, and they desperately needed another women's star.
Right.
So Indy Hartwell, super young, super athletic, great talent. It's so humble to actually see when they do the NXT call-ups and see everybody sitting there and hugging each other. And it's emotional. It's really cool, and it's really exciting. So I'm glad they went back to doing that because they didn't do it for a while. So that ended round 4, which we thought was going to be the absolute end of the SmackDown draft.
For SmackDown, it was. We also had a couple matches in between. We ended up seeing the Usos took on Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens for the belts. Didn't end up winning, which I thought the ending of that was a little strange. There was matches like sprinkled throughout.
I loved the relationship that Braun Strowman and Ricochet are finally like developing, because obviously when you go back to last week, Braun Strowman and Ricochet had a match, and
not quite. Well,
Braun threw Ricochet a little wobbly. And,
Braun had a couple of Tweety birds flying around his head. He apparently has suffered a concussion.
Yeah. Well, if you watch the video back, Braun picks up Ricochet, goes to throw him. He doesn't quite get him as far as he wants to. Ricochet hits the ground, which was the tag in for Ricochet to be in the match. Braun then goes to get out, hits his head on the turnbuckle, and like falls onto the apron, which I guess led into a small concussion. He ends up coming back. They have a three-way match, tag team match between Braun and Ricochet, LWO, and was it the Viking Raiders?
Yes.
I just love that they actually like joked about the dynamic between Braun and Ricochet and exactly what we were talking about, the botch. Braun was like, "Hey, I'm gonna like throw you" to Ricochet, and Ricochet was like, "Are you sure you got me?" And Braun's like, "Yeah, I got you," and he did. Like it was a perfect.
They're playing on their.
It's really funny.
It's fun to actually see WWE playing on things that don't go right.
Yeah, like Michael Cole picking on Top Dollar.
Oh, so good, so good. But yeah, the entire SmackDown was actually, like I said, one of the best SmackDowns we've watched all year. Super
entertaining. And they put over a lot of the teams that are being drafted. Like the Street Profits came out. Of course they won. They just got drafted. So it was a good way to like put over the teams and make you excited for the people that are coming to the draft. But apparently, and I don't know if this is news to you because it was news to us, there's a SmackDown like after show that you can watch on Peacock.
SmackDown Lowdown.
I don't think I've ever heard of that in my life.
It's been going on every week for months now. It's exclusive to Peacock, and it's like a 20-25 minute like post SmackDown show.
Which is crazy for a 2-hour show. There's a 25-minute post show.
Right, and they treat it like it's any other sports center or anything like that.
Sure, you got your post match interviews.
Yeah, and I didn't realize that there was, so we might have to go and check that out because they've got a couple interviews. They had one with Rhea Ripley. They had one with Sammy and KO. So I'm sure they've got some good information on there. But while they were doing this, and I woke up to the news the next morning, laying in bed staring at my phone trying to figure out why Apollo Crews is on my screen.
Yeah.
We had some developments on the SmackDown Lowdown. They drafted some more, with Raw picking up the Viking Raiders, Dexter Lumis, Candice LeRae, Maximum Male Models, Zoe Stark, JD McDonough, Apollo Crews, Natalia, and Sonya Deville and Chelsea Green. Also, SmackDown ended up picking, and I don't know who picked this round, but you've got Lacey Evans and Shit Row.
I didn't even think Hit Row was going to get drafted, so...
Yeah.
I can't believe they're getting another chance. And I really don't want to... We say this all the time. I don't want to be the podcast that talks bad about anything, but I just can't get behind them.
Well,
I just can't get behind Lacey Evans.
What I really think is sad about this list is with the exception of Sonya Deville and Chelsea Green and Natalia, all of these people are very, very seldomly used on TV. Other than the Viking Raiders, but they're just like they're mid-carders. They could have done an extra round.
I don't know why they didn't. They had the time. They could have done an
extra round somewhere of somebody walks out, oh, we're drafting, bop, 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 and
yeah, because it's sad because I really want to say that I'm excited to see Apollo get another opportunity. I thought he was fantastic before. I literally remember the first time I ever saw him. He had just gotten brought up from NXT. Mark and I did not know who he was, and he did. I can't even remember who he fought. And both of us were like, I don't know who this is. Originally, when you see him, and this happens with almost every wrestler, what is special about them?
Right.
He's just a guy. Got a great smile, but what is so special about Apollo? And then he wrestled, and I cannot believe how limber and like easy he makes everything look. So to hear that he got knocked down to NXT, got given this horrible racist gimmick. It's just super sad.
We don't even talk about
that. I don't. I just want to say that I'm really happy that through everything that he has continued to work hard, present everything very well. I'm really excited for his future. I think he's phenomenal, and I'm really happy he's getting another opportunity up on the card. When he got called, it was like, I can't even explain it. He was just so happy, and he was like, I'm back again, like it was such a good feeling to see through everything that he's been through for him to get a shot. Also, Zoe Stark is getting her shot.
Right.
JD McDonough, who has just been absolutely killing it in NXT.
Weird, though.
I'm excited.
I just did the count. Raw ended up drafting in that quote-unquote round. SmackDown drafted 4 people. Raw drafted 13.
Yeah, it's weird.
But we also
it's supposed to be a 50-50 split, too.
We also have more news that happened on the SmackDown Lowdown. We have 4 free agents.
Yeah,
which I didn't
2
know we
I
were
get.
Doing. I didn't know,
I get.
but I didn't even know we were doing what the free agents was a thing.
Have they ever done that before? I don't know.
I think indirectly, I don't think they ever went, oh, this person can go between brands, or if they did, I don't think they called them free agents. But Dolph Ziggler.
Understandable.
Honestly, Omos.
I guess MVP secured Omos a spot to go between the two.
They made a big deal that MVP struck a deal with WWE so he could be, used on both and seen more. I kind of understand it. I feel like they're trying to sell Omos as the next big thing. So you would kind of want to see him a little bit more. But Muhammad Ali, oh my God.
Mustafa Ali.
Sorry.
I think that was a great move too. Him and Dolph, putting them between the 2 shows is great because they are so unbelievably talented yet underutilized that people don't realize they add so much to the shows.
Right.
So to have them go back and forth is so smart. But the last pick, I don't know who negotiated this.
NXT's Von Wagner.
I'm surprised they even pulled this guy
This
up.
dude looks like 2 steps behind the Neanderthal chain.
He really does. But what's really weird is he's been in NXT forever.
Yeah.
Forever. And the only time I ever really see anything about him is because he does weird stuff like almost hit people in the face with a ladder.
Now, the one thing that's right. You're talking about in NXT, he was trying to set a ladder up and he almost hit that poor woman in the mouth.
Yeah, he's just... I don't ever see anything good about him,
The only thing I can think that they're doing is you now have, in the way they announced this, I'm looking at the tweet right now.
Okay.
They singled out, as announced SD Lowdown, the following superstars have been declared free agents and can appear on Raw and SmackDown: Ali, Ziggler, and Von Wagner. Furthermore, the MVP has negotiated for Omos to be a free agent and appear on both shows. For some reason, they individualized Omos and then grouped Von Wagner, Ali, and Ziggler into one group. And I'm wondering if they might play with that a little bit, saying, well, we're the free agents. We're, we can go back and forth. And because Mustafa and Ziggler already kind of have a rivalry going. They've been, for a couple weeks.
Mustafa's doing this whole positive Ali,
Right. It might be something like that where they're going to be like, okay, well, let's just be happy that we can go to both shows, and just, I wonder if they're going to play into that a little bit.
Trying to use the 2 people who know how to put people over better than anybody else in the business and then sticking it with a guy who needs all the help in the world.
Right.
Okay.
Right. And make them into a pseudo faction, even if it's just almost like the 24/7 title of these 3. Hey, I'm gonna go to Raw this week. I'm gonna beat Braun Strowman.
Oh, okay. That's fun. I like that.
I'm gonna go to SmackDown and I'm gonna take on Solo Sikoa.
Do you think it's gonna be a friendly thing or more like a competition?
I think it's gonna start like that, and then it could turn into something more.
Okay.
But I think they have. I didn't like this initially, but I'm enjoying the freedom that certain individuals, and I'm kind of hoping they might put a couple more. I don't know who, but I could see maybe 1, maybe 2 more free agents. Maybe on the female side. So the same idea, they can flip-flop back and forth. Interesting moves WWE is doing, and I'm excited for it.
I like it.
It's nice to see a little bit of a shake-up. We haven't seen the draft for, I think, 2016, I think, was the last draft. Somebody double check that on me. I don't
think that's right.
I might be wrong.
Yeah.
It might be getting late and the caffeine's wearing off. But it's been a few years. So hopefully this will kind of throw things...
They desperately need it. They need storylines that don't involve the same people. It's just really boring when the Street Profits come out and you already know that the Viking Raiders are going to come out too. Or, it's just the same thing over and over. And I don't want to see the same storyline over and over. I want to see something new. I want to see people that haven't fought each other yet. And that's what's really fun. You don't know who's going to come out. You don't know what's going to happen. I guess that's the really fun part about having those people go back and forth. You know, you never know when Dolph Ziggler is going to show up, which is so smart. And if you love podcasts, I mean, you're listening to ours, Chris Van Vliet has a really great podcast, and he just did an interview with Dolph Ziggler, and Dolph Ziggler pretty much said, I put my foot in my mouth because I ended up being so good at selling that now I have to sell for everybody.
It's true, though. He's so good at it.
He knows it.
He's so good at it. All right, so that will do it for SmackDown's portion of the draft. Coming up on Monday Night Raw, we'll have the other half of the draft, which has 50% of the roster up for grabs, including the Usos, Akira Tozawa, Cedric Alexander, and Shelton Benjamin, and Charlotte Flair.
Yes.
So a lot of interesting people. I was hoping to get your opinions. I know it's a crazy thing in a podcast that we have.
Yeah, right.
Of who do you think, or who would you like to see go to certain brands, or who would you like to see in the same brand with one another?
Well, after looking back, I'm actually looking on Twitter. Again, if you don't follow us at you should. We are at CAW Wrestling Pod.
Yes.
I see that Sean Ross Sapp has actually retweeted the lineup for the draft, and I see a couple people in here that I didn't see before.
Okay.
Nothing major, but Maxine Dupree is one of them, and she has been drafted to Raw. So
yeah, she was with.
She is actually part of Maximum Male Models. Okay,
yes,
perfect. Wasn't sure.
MMM. Yep.
We still have Chad Gable and Otis. Maybe you want to call him Otis. Alpha Academy. So that's somebody who's up on Raw.
Both very valuable. Either SmackDown or Raw could use them.
This could be a very interesting time to finally break up this tag team and put Chad Gable on a singles run, and put Chad Gable on SmackDown, and put Otis, Maximum Male Models, and Maxine on Raw.
Now they do have them listed as a cohesive unit as Alpha Academy.
Yes.
So and again, that doesn't mean that they're not able to break up tag teams, but we have yet to see that. So it would be one of those things to where if that was if that was the first tag team to break up, that would be interesting. They did that to the New Day a few years ago.
Yeah, like I said, it was just you didn't expect it, so I think that would be fun because it didn't happen on SmackDown. Maybe it'll happen on Raw. So now, that's one of the things I'm looking forward to seeing what's going to happen there.
That being said, I brought up the New Day. There's rumors going around that we might see the return of a Big E Langston.
I don't even want to get excited about it.
I do. Oh my God,
I don't, because it's been a year. You know, everything that happened
we just hit the 1 year. Yep.
Him even surviving the injury that he got is phenomenal. For him to be able to walk and do what he does is phenomenal. So the idea of him being able to come back and wrestle is not only a dream come true, I'm sure, for Big E, but for us, like, just such a big,
didn't get nearly
huge
enough.
Big E fan.
Didn't get nearly enough time with that belt.
He should have had a better run with the championship belt. That's a whole different story. But I hope there's still another chapter in the book of Big E.
But we do have Kofi Kingston's out with an ankle injury. I don't know how long, but it's been a good little minute. What do you think the chances we'll see the New Day come back?
It's interesting because there's so much push on Xavier as a singles competitor all of a sudden.
Ever since that match with Gunther, he's been
in the
limelight.
There's a great vignette on his Twitter of him, talking about this is his time. This is his opportunity. And I think this would be a really good time for him to have a singles run. Because me personally, I don't know what it is. I think everybody can see the potential of Gunther, but the writing's on the wall. I think he's going to be one of the people that goes for this heavyweight championship.
Talking about Xavier or Gunther?
Gunther. I think he's ready for the next belt up, and I think it would be fun to have somebody like Xavier having the Intercontinental belt.
Right.
Maybe they'll do a rematch, and that'll be what happens. Maybe he wins a different belt. I don't know. But I think putting Xavier Woods on a singles run would be great because he's a singles competitor. I love Kofi, and I think Kofi's a great singles competitor. I think Big E's a great singles competitor. Are they better together? No doubt. No fucking doubt. It's the New Day. I love the New Day.
Right.
I hope we get to see Big E, and that would be such a surprise entrant. Like, oh, by the way, we drafted Big E. Could you imagine the pop?
Oh, it'd be amazing. It'd be absolutely insane.
I mean, you get tears from me, so
hopefully we'll see that. Who knows? What do you think about Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler? They
Why are you going to ask me about that?
That could be. Well, I'm trying to get a bunch of different opinions.
Okay, all right.
We've got Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler. They won the 4-way women's match at WrestleMania.
Right, which apparently did nothing for them.
And then we just don't see anything. Do you think they're even going to show up? Do you think they're even going to be drafted? Do you think they're going to be even a driving force from here on out? It feels like Shayna Baszler has just been absolutely like neutered.
They're listed together though on this.
They are listed as one solid tag team, which I guess that's they're a tag team now.
I'm a hard pass on that. I don't like them together. I actually like Shayna. I think singles run, great idea.
Right.
Great idea. Dominant force, technical wrestler, huge NXT star, definitely. I don't like the tag team. The mic skills with both are horrendous, and then you put them together, and it's like,
yeah,
you don't have somebody to lean on.
Not doing it for me.
Big Cass wasn't good on the mic. That's okay. Enzo's got it.
Right.
Look at this. Neither of them have it.
For our final thing, and I just realized this as you were just responding to what we were talking about. There's one name that I do not see on either one of these lists.
Oh, I'm also not seeing Bray Wyatt?
Bray Wyatt.
Oh, God, I didn't even notice that.
This list comes from WWE.com. It was posted yesterday.
It's funny that you said that because I noticed it at the same exact time.
There is no
really
Bray Wyatt listed. Let me double check. Make sure my...
No, I mean, this is posted in alphabetical order.
That is an interesting thing.
But Drew got a spot?
Yeah. There's no Uncle Howdy, which I can kind of understand. He's not really a performer, but no Bray Wyatt. And we haven't heard hide or tail from him in I don't even know how long.
Wow. I don't know what's going on with that. That could be interesting. I mean, maybe it's something that they're trying to be like, oh, is he going to come back? And then they have some type of, hopefully, wishful thinking, some type of plan for him.
Anything for him besides squashing LA Knight in a Mountain Dew match?
And then never coming back?
Yeah. Dealing with a physical issue still. Who knows what that means? That's like going to a local medical facility.
Exactly. It could be anything. So wish him and his career the best. But yeah, you are 100% right. He is not on this list. I mean, Johnny Gargano's on this list. He doesn't even wrestle that much.
Which I wasn't going to bring it up, but since you brought it up, that is the only individual of the way
that hasn't been drafted.
That has not been drafted.
I mean, it would be fun to switch him up, but with the whole idea of your spouse goes with you, you would think that he would be drafted with Candace.
Right. But
who is also with Dexter, who's also with Indy, if I'm not mistaken. So maybe they'll bring them back out and try that again because that worked.
Yes, it did.
That worked really well.
So lots of interesting things. Like, honest to God, that I did not realize the Bray Wyatt thing until just now, and that has got me very well interested into what's about to happen with this draft.
I'm intrigued too, which is nice because as we're recording it, it's Sunday, so we get to find out this tomorrow. But
so you will be hearing this Monday morning if you're a good podcast listener.
Who's Riddick Moss?
They've not renamed, but they gave Madcap Moss. They no longer call him Madcap Moss. He is back to Riddick Moss. That's what they originally had called him. I believe NXT.
Well, you got me on that. Thank you for the information.
I saw it on Twitter. One of those things I just didn't think about it because it was so insignificant because he hasn't done much since he's got up here.
Well, that's fine. Whatever. Also interesting that we have Braun Strowman and Ricochet being put as a tag team as well, not separately.
Yes. And Karrion Kross has with Scarlett next to his name. So she's, I guess, not a performer, just some flavor.
Which, again, is weird because she can wrestle as well. I think WWE, these women also know how to wrestle, too. They're not just, bodies. They can wrestle.
Scarlett's a pretty good body, though.
I'll tell you what. You want to see some interesting wrestling matches with Scarlett? Watch Impact.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
There's some really good potential in these signings for what's coming up with Raw. I don't know. I don't know what they have planned.
Well, we're going to find out here. Well, by the time you guys hear this, it'll be this afternoon or this evening, I guess. We will be having the second half of WWE Raw, or the WWE Draft on Raw.
Yes.
You can tell it's getting late because we are messing up left, right, and center. So I think we're going to call it here. I think we've covered everything. We've got the draft, AEW. I mean, we missed a bunch with AEW, but there's so much to talk about. It's the wrestling world. It's such a good time to be a wrestling fan because
it is.
I feel like every time we do a podcast, I don't have enough time. I don't want.
There's more than enough content.
We're almost at an hour and 10 minutes, and I'm not trying to kill our listeners.
Hear me out and spare me the 45 seconds while I just say my congratulations to one of the biggest stars to have left WWE in the recent months. That is Naomi. Congratulations to her. Trinity Fatu is now signed Trinity to Impact. That's her real name.
Yes, I know.
To Impact. I don't think they're going to do the Fatu. That would be weird.
No. But yeah, she showed up in... I don't think the episode has debuted yet. So
no, it has not. It debuts this week. Well, I mean, Impact posted it. It's not like it's a secret.
Yeah.
Mercedes Moné was in the crowd supporting her friend.
And CM Punk was supposedly in the back.
I mean, he took a picture with Jordan Grace.
He was also in the back at SmackDown.
Supposedly. And if you ask Danhausen, apparently CM Punk puts ketchup on his bananas.
Oh, my God. Danhausen. You're wearing a Danhausen shirt right now. I love Danhausen. Love that Danhausen. I think that's going to do it for this episode.
I could sit here for another hour and 10 minutes and speculate about what the hell CM Punk is doing, but...
Maybe we'll get into that this week. Maybe we'll get into an episode and you and I will just sit down with it. Actually, I wanted to know.
Instead of Where's Waldo, where's CM Punk?
We're thinking about doing a supplementary second show of just little 20, 30-minute tidbits of just us shooting the shit off the hip. Nothing real planned, not going over anything. If you think you'd want to hear something like that, or
maybe some classic matches that we have seen as kids, classic matches that people talk about.
Terrible
if
matches
you love wrestling, you got to watch this. We're even throwing around the idea of maybe something called Coffee and Wrestling, a light roast.
Yeah,
I don't know. Tell us what you think.
Yeah, if you'd be interested in hearing that, let us know. If not, let us know. You can reach us at CAW Wrestling Pod on all social media platforms. That includes Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Those are the
and YouTube.
And YouTube. Those are the 4 that we're most active on. You can follow me at Gunk Dudley on my own personal Twitter.
And I'm at A Bacon Party.
If you are listening to our podcast, take a screenshot of it and tag us in social media post and let us know what you thought of us. We'll retweet you, call you out. We'll call you out on the podcast.
We'd love to have a conversation with you on Twitter. If you follow us at all, or you just want to talk with us after the show, please participate. We'd love to have a chat with you. If you do have a moment, please give us a 5-star rating on Spotify, Apple Music, whatever platform you're currently
Google
listening
Music,
to this
Samsung
on.
Apparently is a popular one.
Would really, really appreciate it. That's what helps us get noticed by people, not even all over the country, but all over the world. Thank you to our Ireland and Germany listeners.
Yeah, Danke to our German fans. I don't know what the Irish greeting or what. So hi, thank you for listening. I really appreciate it. We're apparently we've been in the top 150 wrestling podcasts in Ireland, which is mind blowing to even fathom that we're top anything anywhere. So really,
and it's all
really
thanks to you.
Yeah,
so thank you.
Really appreciate it. There's no way I could cheat that. There's not enough VPNs I could pay for to get the listens we get out there. So thank you so much to anybody who listens to this, whether it's domestic or international, whether you understand what we're talking about or you're just sitting here listening to us bitching at us and whining about how stupid we are. Thank you so much for interacting with our podcast. We work hard at this, and we really enjoy doing this. And anybody who enjoys listening to us, it makes our heart feel so good. And thank you so much. And we really appreciate you listening to this episode of Coffee and Wrestling, a wrestling podcast. We will catch you in the next episode.